The next show is planned for April 9th, 2022. It's about 29 weeks to bring something really special to the stage. I'm very confident that that's going to happen.
Oh, it's so cool, I think I'm done with
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Super excited to be kicking off prep with this first video. You guys would have saw the first video of this little reboot of Operation 2022 posted last week. That was filmed by a very good friend of mine, Arda. He's done, helped me with videos and photos and stuff in the past, and that video was kind of like, I guess, the launching pad for this series that's going to document my prep. For those that have followed me for a while, you'll know that I've, vlogged and documented my preps before, and that is, 100% what I want to do this time. I know I, kind of butchered the whole staying up to date through my off season. I have Operation 2022 videos from before throughout the off season, but they were very infrequent, and it was just, I've spoken about this before, and I'll quickly touch on it again, but it was hard to film because it was a lot of the same stuff every day. There wasn't really anything exciting going on. The off season, documenting the training is kind of the big stuff, because visually, not a lot changes, week to week to week. Whereas on this side of it, on prep, when you're losing body fat and you're in a deficit, you're going to see changes week after week after week, and you're going to get closer to the show. So there's content, which during the off season I struggled with creating, but this time around, through prep, I've laid out, the first 15 videos already that I want to talk about. This one obviously being, technically the first one, and we're going to talk about, my progress and how I transformed a little bit over the last 2 years. So there's going to be a lot of photos throughout this video, so I'm just going to scoot over here so I can put them up right here. So let's start with this batch of photos, which is where I started my 2019 prep. So 2019 was the last time I had stepped on stage. So I believe April 13th was the exact date. April 13th and April 20th. Those were the two shows that I did. And I brought my best physique to the stage by far. And these photos you're seeing are where I started that prep. If I remember correctly, I was a very similar body weight to where I am now, kind of the mid to late 170s. And, at the time, I thought I looked great. And, you'll see in a bit that that's far from the case when comparing to what I look like right now. But, so these photos here, not a bad physique for sure. But looking at them, I look very young. And that's one thing that my coach told me, that I have, just young muscle, right? Like it's not a fully matured physique, if that makes sense. So those photos there where I started prep, lost about 25 pounds. I stepped on stage around 150, which is probably very similar to what I will be right now, when I compete again, but it'll be a very, very different look. Body composition wise, there's gonna be a lot of changes, which is super exciting. So those are those photos, okay? So you kind of have that in your brain. Now let's go to these ones here, which was the top end of my off season. And those photos, I was just shy of 200 pounds. I think I'd seen 200 once, but let's say I kind of hovered around anywhere from like 197 to 199. So basically 50 pounds over my stage weight from the previous time I stepped on stage. So I had never been up to 200 before. The highest I'd ever been prior to that was 192, if I remember correctly. So basically 10 more pounds, give or take, and a different look, right? Like when you compare what I looked like the beginning of my 2019 prep all the way up to 200 pounds is a very different look. I'm definitely bigger, but visually a lot softer. There's no real veins or vascularity to speak of. Even lines in my quads or lines through my chest, my upper body. Minimal at best. But I really think that pushing up to that body weight was necessary for me to give my body the environment that it needed to build the muscle it did. One of the conversations I had with my coach when we first kind of started working together through this off season was the frequency in which I competed. And from 2015 to 2019 I did like 7 or 8 shows, so really not a lot of time. It was diet down, gain some weight, diet down, gain some weight, diet. Not ideal, definitely not ideal, especially in those early training careers when you could arguably spend a good chunk of time in a surplus and just building muscle. Prior to when I started competing, I was training very, very consistently, through my late teens and early 20s and stuff. But then when I started competing, I really kind of stayed in that limbo prep environment for 4 years basically. So one of the things my coach said was that I think that this is going to be so important for your body, taking that break and basically packing on muscle it's been wanting to pack on, because I'd been training and stuff the entire time, but anytime I'd get a good run with an off season, right, or a break from prep, I'd start prepping again, right? I'd have a show in the spring, prep for that, and then I would break for a little bit, and then I would prep for a show in the fall, and it was kind of this endless cycle, right? And he said, this is gonna be great for you. And I genuinely believe this is the best thing I could have done for my bodybuilding career, is take, these last 2 years. By the time I compete again, it'll be a 3-year window from 2019 to 2022. And it's paid, immensely in improving my physique. And not only that, but just my attitude towards training, my mindset towards prep. I was definitely, whether I felt it or not, whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not, I was definitely feeling burnt out from the whole competing thing. And, when you're in it, it's sometimes you get in this tunnel, and it's hard to recognize when you're doing these certain behaviors, or just like, you're mentally not quite feeling it, but because you're in it, you don't recognize it. And I can definitely look back and be like, yeah, there was periods where I did it because I felt like I had to. I wasn't necessarily loving it. And coming out of it and taking these last 2 years to just like kind of be a person again and almost fell back in love with it. And I definitely feel that spark again, and that excitement and that passion towards competing and bringing my best physique to the stage, which is exactly what we're going to do. So those 200-pound pictures, right? We come all the way up to the highest body weight I'd ever been. I was strong. I was training like I felt like a beast in the gym. You know, I'd hit numbers I'd never hit before. You know, I deadlifted 600 pounds, which is kind of like a lifetime goal. I squatted over 500, which was amazing. You know, I hit some bench press goals, like a lot of, you know, in the off season, I find it's really important for people and myself to, you know, take your mind off the physique for a little bit and just focus on the training side of things, because that's where you're going to see the positive changes. You know, for me, going from 170 to 200 pounds, I'm only going to start looking worse, right? Because you're going to get softer. You know, at that weight, I didn't, you know, necessarily feel the best. I felt sluggish. I just felt heavy. But my training was fantastic, right? And that's kind of what kept me going, was the changes I was making in the gym, which I knew deep down was going to translate to changes in my physique when I come to this point now. So let's throw up some photos of where prep started. So I started officially on the 20th, 29 weeks out. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Last Tuesday, whatever it is. That's when I officially started prep. And I was 176.4 that morning, okay? So from that 200 pounds, I did, you know, a 25-pound cut, roughly. If you guys, you know, followed me through social media and stuff prior to these videos, you'll know that I got married in August, and I didn't want to be getting married at 200 pounds. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a little wedding cleanup is what I called it. And this was something my coach and I talked about, where it was kind of like, okay, we'll do this cleanup before prep and then hang there for a little bit and then start prep, because going from 200 pounds to my stage weight was not ideal, because that's gonna be about 50 pounds. But going from like 175 to my stage weight, that's doable. That's about 25 pounds. So from that 200 pounds, I came down to, you know, somewhere around 180. I would fluctuate between like 178 to like 181. And that was a fantastic spot for me to be in. And I got there a lot faster. I gave myself, I think, 16 weeks, and I did it in 9 or 10. So I basically held that body weight for 5 or 6 weeks until the wedding. And then, you know, my body kind of solidified that body weight. It hardened up a little bit, because when I was coming down, you know, it was just a change for my body, and holding it was, I think, a really good thing, because I was kind of just able to solidify that there. And I do think even in that short period of time of holding that weight, there was some positive changes. From like a muscle growth perspective, I switched my training around a little bit and just put more attention on certain body parts, and I think it paid off. You know, with my arms and my hamstrings and stuff. So it was a kind of a fun little time for me to experiment. So here we are now at the start of prep. These are some photos here, 176, like I said, and I feel great. I feel, you know, invigorated to prep again. I think it's going to be a very, very big difference. And even I'll throw up some comparisons here, so you can see where I started prep in 2019 to where I'm starting prep now. And you can see it. I don't even need to talk about it. You can see it. The changes are undeniable across my entire body. You know, front to back, left to right, there's changes, which is amazing. It's awesome. It goes to show that the work pays off. You just got to stick to it. So I am very, very excited. You know, the coach I'm working with, the environment I'm surrounded by with my wife, my family, my friends, you know, my home gym. Like, I have all the tools that I need to make this a success, and that's the plan. That's exactly what I'm gonna do, and I'm very, very excited about it. So this is kind of, I guess, video 1, guys, even though it'll say episode 20 something, because we're still gonna just run with the episodes that were posted prior to this. But like I said, this is gonna be a consistent thing throughout this prep. I have it all laid out, exactly what I want to post, what I want to talk about every week. And you know, we're gonna really expose the journey and share it, and hopefully give you guys a really good insight as to what I'm putting into this prep, and hopefully which will translate into a successful prep, and showing you guys what can really be done when you go through it and you do it right. You know, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm very, very much looking forward to what's to come. And I feel good, which is important. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys are new, please subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. If you guys are returning, I thank you guys for sticking around, and we'll see you guys in the next one.